questions. So somebody had mentioned that if they had the bigger picture, it would make this project a little easier. So I'd like to start off with that one. The Early Learning Assessment and the Kindergarten Readiness Assessment are part of the Ohio Early Childhood Comprehensive Assessment System, as you can see here. And what those assessments allow for, both of them allow for multiple methods of measurement. We have the online reporting system, which you all know as the KReady system. And that KReady system allows for data entry for both of those assessments. The KReady system also has the professional development component. So in a previous slide, when Ed explained the student data and the teacher side of things, they're separate. The student data for both assessments are entered in the online reporting system. That's one piece of the KReady system. The teacher's account is tied to their own account that has a professional development set of models, but teachers have ability to enter data for children once there is an enrollment piece that links up the teacher to the student to the assessment. So Ed and Carissa, they explain that a lot in their presentations, but this really is the big picture here for the full comprehensive assessment system. What is being done with the data entered in the KReady system? First of all, that data that's entered is available immediately for teachers and the local data managers and administrators. They have access to that data. They can download it, as you saw in the various report functions. Teachers have access to it as well because they are loading that data. The KRA data is reported in EMIS. So when that happens, the local data manager generates the scale score report. They hand it over to the EMIS coordinator, and the EMIS coordinator loads it through their student information system that pushes it to EMIS. The ELA data is reported twice annually for preschool special education children and children that are funded through the Early Childhood Education Grant. That is done similar to the KRA data, where you might have an EMIS coordinator that's submitting data through EMIS, or some programs report into the system. Now, the department does receive a vendor file from the KReady system, and we have a data manager who receives that file. And the data manager uses that file to support any data quality checks against what is reported in EMIS. Another question came through about loading the students placed in Department of Developmental Disability schools or the county DD schools. This answer, I hope, is going to be beneficial to some of you on the call here. If you need further support, please reach out to me. I'm Elizabeth Saylor Agnew. You'll have my contact information. You can also reach out to the help desk, but some of this we do on a case-by-case basis because of unique situations. First of all, teachers can be loaded in the KReady system in multiple organizations with children assigned from those districts so that the teacher sees all the children in one roster and one data collection. Students can be loaded in the KReady system also in multiple organizations assigned to multiple teachers. The enrollment data is what connects the student to the teacher to the assessment's data collection. What's important to remember for the teachers is that if multiple organizations are loading the teacher, they need to use the exact same email account that is associated with that teacher. Students, you need to keep their unique identifiers the same as well. So if two different districts or a district and a DD are, kind of sharing responsibilities, it's important to have local communication and supports in place that will say, who will be responsible for loading who and what data. We can help you walking through making those decisions, but every situation is going to be unique to the issue here. Now, again, we have some more information about this question. Local school districts are responsible for a child's KRA data and a preschool special education's ELA data. So if we're talking about the Kindergarten Readiness Assessment, and we have a child at a local school district that is attending and getting services at a county developmental disability center, then the local school district's data manager should load that student, load the teacher who is going to administer the assessment and enter the data, and then do the enrollment data that would connect the teacher to the assessment, so that that teacher can enter the data and the data manager can generate the student's scale score. For the KRA, DDs do not have access to the KReady system to load children for the assessment. We really want the local school districts that are responsible for that child's data to go into EMIS. We want them to be responsible for the child supporting the DD where they've placed the student for services. If this does not match what you have put in place locally between contracts for services, please reach out and we can help troubleshoot individual cases. Further, for the ELA, if a local school district has preschool special education children that are attending preschool programs outside of the district, but they need the ELA data to submit into EMIS, we highly recommend that school districts are using the KReady system so that the data manager has access to that student's data. And the school district can add the students that are the preschool special education students. They can add the teachers that are providing support at the early care and education centers where the children are attending. And then again, do the enrollment data so that it links up the teachers, the students, the assessment back to the local school district. Or if you're not comfortable with doing that yet, we understand that. Local school districts can request the students' learning progression scores from the DD or from the preschool program. I have a couple visuals to show this as well. Oh, I have one more slide. Wanted to let you know though that in either case of the KRA or the ELA, if you have more than one teacher entering data, the last score entered in for any data point prior to generating a score is what gets calculated. We like to say the last in wins. So here's an example of a district, and this is about the preschool early learning assessment, but it could hopefully shed some light on this bigger picture of using the KReady system for a student that is attending a preschool program, maybe at a DD, maybe at a preschool program that is not at the local school district level. So the district is going to get the data from that DD instead of the district using the KReady system. You have a student that's attending a preschool program off-site. That preschool program provides services for that child, monitors the growth and development of those 10 required learning progressions, and then the school district is going to request the scores from that off-site program. And the off-site program might be using KReady or might be using a bridge form. We are moving to phase away from using the bridge form, and we are encouraging and supporting programs with using the online KReady system. Here's another example of the district using the KReady system. So the student, again, attends a preschool program outside of the district. That preschool is providing services for the child, again, using the 10 learning progressions that are required for reporting. And the city school is able to access that child's data because they've loaded the student, they've loaded the teachers at that preschool, and they've done the enrollment piece that makes that connection so that the local school district's data manager can generate that report to submit into EMIS. I don't have another visual for this, but I wanted to highlight the Southern Ohio ESC and one of our state support team members that's working with 18 different school districts with 4 itinerant preschool teachers and 1 speech pathologist, they have been working and collaborating together so that these teachers have access to their students that they are providing services to in these districts. And the districts are starting to add the teachers and add the students so that the teachers can use KReady and the teachers can see all of their children in one roster. And then the local school districts have access to just their individual children's data for EMIS reporting. So if you wanted to know more about individual cases, or you want to find out how you can start using KReady more with your programs that you are sending your children to for services, please reach out and we can work with you on a case-by-case basis. Another question here. Is someone at the state level reviewing the data, and who? So in our office, we're the Office of Early Learning and School Readiness. I mentioned that we have a data manager who supports the EMIS reporting. So she uses the vendor file that we receive from Johns Hopkins University for the data quality checks against what is reported in EMIS. Now we know that the ELA, the Early Learning Assessment data, is submitted for early childhood education and preschool special education. So those teams might be doing checks against what is reported for compliance. For the Kindergarten Readiness Assessment, our team, the Curriculum and Assessment team, analyzes the results that districts report into EMIS. We reproduce an annual Kindergarten Readiness report for the state. So if you were to go to the Kindergarten Readiness Assessment webpage at the department's website, you will see that we have annual reports for the past 4 years, or 4 or 5 years, and the report from the 2018-2019 school year, which was last year, that report is coming soon. So there's an analysis at the state level, but it's against what has been reported from the local districts into EMIS. Another question here, what is the best way to handle repeaters, and should we delete and then inactivate? This was answered with Carissa and Ed, but children who are repeating kindergarten, whether they are coming from in-state or out of state, should not be loaded in KReady during the year they are repeating kindergarten, because they are not administered the KRA. Now, if you did load them, you can inactivate them and you do not report into EMIS. How does it work if a student is enrolled in a public school district but served by another school? This really depends on if this is a kindergarten readiness assessment or an early learning assessment inquiry. And I would like to refer you back to the previous answer about the children served at the DD. Again, please reach out to us. We can provide more detailed assistance on a case-by-case basis. We had another inquiry that was in the survey talking about the age column and kind of making some suggestions here that maybe if we had a column that would say K or E, that might be more helpful, since this specific person only works with kindergarten, and that would quickly identify the students associated with that person. Also, being able to move students once they're loaded in the system would be better than having to reload 2 more files. Larger districts who loaded students at the end of August and are continuing to load and reload, the webinar would be more helpful before now or even later. And I just want to thank you if you are on this session today. Thank you for this feedback. Please reach out to the help desk if you have questions about identifying children associated with you. As far as the webinars for data managers, we do schedule those. We try to coordinate with the beginning of the school year as best as possible, with starting times of when schools will be in session, giving them some time to get situated and get rosters organized. Also getting the system set up with new data managers added into the Ohio Educational Directory system, making sure those folks have accounts. So we try to schedule those at the beginning of the year in August. And then we typically always do some webinars during the window, closer to the end of the windows in October and November. And then we will always do them throughout the year as time allows.